boy, Don Carlito, and we are back again to talk and discuss another podcast for all you photographers, starting photographers, professional photographers, and the topic today is going to be about what are your go-to professional, amateur, portraiture lenses. If you're on a budget, if you know, right now you're basically trying to get up there in the portrait, in the photography world, and you need some great portrait lenses that can really rival those of the expensive professional models, then I'm going to teach you and give you a couple tips of some of the different options that there are for those lenses. So let's get started. Well, basic again, before we start, you can always support and show some love by going to my Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/DCPNY and go there, like us on Facebook, and follow us to see a lot more of my work. But not only that, but some of these podcasts and blogs that I do put out every week. So let's get on to the topic though. What are the best go-to portraiture or portrait lenses for photography? Now, we all know that there are those expensive types of lenses, such as Nikon 24-70. You have anywhere from 1.4 aperture lenses or 1.8 type aperture lenses, and we all know they can get up really expensive. But for those that are starting out, and for those that are in the field but are on somewhat of a budget, or they just, they want a great lens but don't want to spend an arm and a leg on it, I'm going to give you some good tips to where to start. I'm going to talk about first what my go-to lenses are and what I would suggest. So first off, I use a Nikon body. Okay, I use a professional Nikon body, and it's full frame. But before I started, back in the day, I would use the old school Nikon F. I would use the DX body lenses also as well with the APS-C sensor. And my first lens that I started, which was my go-to when first starting out, was the 50mm 1.8 D lens for Nikon. Now, this same lens comes from Canon. It comes in various other like third-party makers, Tamron, Sigma. You'll see even companies like Rokinon, Samyang, made in Korea, making these lenses. And they're fairly inexpensive, but they are the bang for the buck. If you're starting out in photography, or if you're even in photography for a while, but want a nice, good, prime fixed lens, a 50mm is always a go-to lens to have in your bag. So I think that's a very good option. You could find them on Amazon, honestly, for like $50, $60. Sometimes you might, depending on the brand, you can get older models like the D lens. You can get AIS lenses, pre-AI, which are basically older models, all the way going back to 1959, all the way to now. Some of those old construction, old school lenses are some of the best lenses around because they're built like a tank. They're not made in China, they're made in Japan, and the construction on the lens is solid metal, not plastic. So the coating on the lenses are great. Personally, if you're going to go for a lens, always make sure that you find a good, decent lens. No haze, no fungus, nothing on the lens. So that way your quality of pictures will come out fine. The body, sometimes if it has a couple scratches and you got it used on eBay or Amazon, it's okay. But make sure that what you're using, your aperture ring, your lenses are always intact, fine, with no problems whatsoever. So moving on, other than the 50, another great lens to find is a 35mm 1.8. Those are two lenses that when you're starting out, you should always have in your bag. A 35 is a good all-around lens when you use for photography. You could use it for portraiture, but it's a really good to capture a good wide range of field on your lens. It's not super wide, but it's not also not like a 85 or 135 that's going to basically be just for headshots or portraiture for that way. So a 35 is always also another good one to find. You can find a nice replacement one by finding a 35mm f2 lens. They have those out, which are the older lenses, older body, and again, they're pretty tack sharp also. So another go-to lens to have in your bag is an 85mm. That is somewhat of a good standard for portraits. A lot of photographers, including myself, use an 85mm. I personally use an 85 1.4 aperture, which and lets in a lot of light, creates that beautiful, nice, smooth, buttery bokeh in the background. I use that one a lot. But you could find that lens. If you look online, you'll start seeing Nikon lenses range about over $1,000. But you can find a lens for 85mm that's just as sharp as that one, and you can find it by checking out the Rokinon 85mm 1.4 lens, or Samyang. Vivitar sometimes make them. You can find them as Bauer. There's different name brands that remake that same lens, and it's the exact same lens. There's no difference in quality. They just basically distribute it and sold it into these different partial names for selling it, for selling purposes. So that's a really great one to go to. But if you're also looking, can't afford that one, you could find an older model 85 1.8, which is just as well as good. It gives you that good creative bokeh, which you can use, and the images are really great. You can find a good Nikon 85mm 1.8D lens, which is not the G, but it's a great autofocusing lens, and it's a great inexpensive lens to use, so you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to buy the more expensive, over $800-900 to over $1,000 for a lens. Now, mind you, I did mention the Rokinon lenses are great, but they are for manual shooting. They do not have automatic focus on there. It's a price you pay for paying basically roughly around $400, $300 for the lens. But the quality you're going to get is amazing. And if you're doing professional photography, you might as well start learning how to work and use your lens in manual mode anyways. I'll use automatic focus, but it all depends on the situation. If you're doing portraits, you could take that time and make sure that you do it yourself, focus yourself. It has a focus indicator on the lens on the bottom left. I think there's a little circle that pops up for Nikon cameras, and you'll see yourself. The camera will let you know when it's right point sharp. It's better that way because you can control the focusing. Sometimes cameras, even though they say they're in focus, it might not be completely in focus in the location and the spot you do want to aim for. Like personally myself, I like to aim for the eye, make sure the eye is in focus, so that way when it comes to shooting with the soft boxes or the ring flashes, or I can get a nice creative reflection in the eye with the lighting, and it looks beautiful. So learn how to use the manual focus lenses, man. That's something you should teach yourself. If you're gonna shoot in manual on the camera, you might as well learn to use manual focus as well. So another great lens, and you'll see this if you go online to the Angry Photographer. Much props and credit to him. He also explains this down to a T. You can search his videos on YouTube. And a great lens to get is the 105mm f2.5 lens. It's a great lens to have. It's tack sharp, amazing. They have them from Canon, they have them for Nikon, they have them even for third parties too. So those are lenses you can get really, really good price on eBay for only maybe less than 200. Sometimes you find them for $75. It depends on the condition. Again, make sure that you find a great lens. The lens is perfect, because that's exactly what you're going to use. You want to make sure that your optical quality, that your optics are perfect, as far as for taking pictures and portraits and for your quality is concerned. So another lens, which is very amazing, is a 135mm f2.8 lens. I actually just picked this lens up, and no lie, I picked up Komi lens. It's a Vivitar Komi lens 135mm 2.8 lens for about $80. Yes, that's right, $80. I couldn't believe it myself. The lens is amazing. Komi lenses are lenses that were made very good for Vivitar back in the day. It's an older school lens. That lens is so sharp. It's so amazing, and the quality on it is just impeccable. So I got that one. A 135 focal length. 135 millimeters. It's a perfect focal length for portraits and for portrait work. A lot of photographers back in the day for telephoto zoom lenses, they used to use the manual prime fix 135 until these other telephoto lenses, which range up to 200 millimeters and up, started coming out, and that's when they started switching back and forth. And for this same reason is that these lenses are now available for a good price online, and the quality you would get for portraits would be amazing. So definitely check that out. These are all great budget lenses that you can get that would definitely step up your game in photography, and at the same time would make your quality of your work a lot better. Again, it all comes down to the photographer shooting, the eye, the experience you have, but with these lenses, glass actually does help you enhance your work. So I would definitely pick up some of this so that way you can start working and creating some good work for your portfolios. Other than that, my friends, I'll be putting up another podcast later on for a whole different variety of different lenses, but these are my go-to lenses so far right now. Let's recap: the 50 millimeter, 35 millimeter 1.8. If you're starting out, you can go with the 85 1.8, the 85 1.4 millimeter lens in any brand. You could also check out the 105 and the 135 f2.5 and f2.8. So that's it, my friends. Check those out. Do your homework. Check out the prices, and hopefully you'll pick one up soon. And if you like, give me some feedback below if you do own any of these lenses, and let me know how they work for you as well. Until then, this is Don Carlito with DCP&Y Photography. Good night.